Heather was always a fighter. She and her brothers grew up knowing hard work means something. You show up, you treat people with respect, you take care of your family, you look out for our neighbors. You don't quit. One thing about my daughter, Heather, she doesn't quit.
Our table was always full. There was always an extra chair if someone needed it, and if there wasn't, you just squeezed in a little closer. That's how we did things. Heather grew up with that. She learned early that there's always enough when you share, and that no one should be left standing on the outside. I watched her carry that her whole life. In everything she does, she's still making room for people.
My mom worked hard and always supported everything my brother and I did. Early mornings at the pool, late nights on the ice. She was there. And she'd make breakfast for half the neighborhood who would just show up. Because that's who she is. Ma mère se bat pour nous depuis toujours. Et depuis que je suis petite, je sais qu'elle se bat pour tout le monde. She doesn't know how to stop. It drives me a little crazy. But it's also why I am so proud of her.
The Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, refuses to talk about human rights in Yemen because both of them are implicit in the selling of arms to the regime that is propping up that war. It is not all right that neither one of them will talk about human rights in Palestine, that children in Palestine are being murdered, and that neither of these parties will talk about that.
I've known Heather a very long time, before any of this, before she was a member of Parliament, before the campaigns where she was knocking on every door in the constituency. In the movement, Heather was building something in Alberta that nobody thought was possible. She was bringing people together who didn't always agree. She was building consensus among them, and she was inspiring cooperation. And in Alberta, Heather was doing the patient, meticulous work of creating change. She's been doing this work her whole life, and Parliament just gave her a bigger room. Heather is the perfect woman for this job.
I've watched Heather fight for fairness and human rights across Canada and around the world. I've watched her fight for Palestinians, Ukrainians, Afghans, and Sudanese, and I've seen her bring people together to find solutions, to use her seat in the House of Commons to effect real change, and to push our caucus, our party, and the government to take action no one thought possible. Heather never backs down from a challenge, and she refuses to turn her back on injustice, no matter where it occurs.
Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Amanda Freistadt. I use she and her pronouns. I believe in action over promises. I've spent 20 years as a builder in this party, in Saskatchewan as treasurer, as a federal councillor, as a Labour VP, EPC chair, CRO, CETA in Alberta, and as a trade unionist. From healthcare to telecom, to retail, to heavy equipment, I've been a union staffer who builds action on shop floors, and I've done it across this entire country. J'appuie Heather parce que ce qui compte, c'est l'action. Elle agite pour les travailleuses et les travailleurs. Heather shows up on the picket lines in the dark and in the cold. She shows up in the House of Commons, tabling and supporting legislation to protect and expand workers' rights. And she understands that solidarity means more than talk. It's taking our issues to Parliament and fighting for us there. Heather is a builder. And with Heather as leader, we will keep building the whole party and for all working Canadians. At the launch of her campaign, the president of the Edmonton CUPW local endorsed her from the stage and said, "I support those who support the working class, and Heather has my support." I could not have said it better myself.
got involved in this campaign because of what Heather stands for. I asked my friends to describe her in one word. Here's what they had to say: tenacious, principled, fierce, a fighter and a builder. All true. But for me, she's already a leader. I'm part of a generation that's been told to wait our turn on housing, on climate, on building a future that we can actually count on. Too many politicians say they care and then they move on. Heather is different. She puts people in the room who don't usually get to be there, and then she listens to them. She wants us to build something for ourselves, not to make herself look good, not to take credit, but so we can find our own places. That's not a small thing. That's leadership. And that's exactly what this party needs right now.
Hey, my friends, I'm so sorry I can't be at the convention with you. I'm Charlie Angus, and I'm on the road with the resistance. I just want to say, I've traveled this country from one end to the other, and I'm so inspired by the determination of Canadians to take control of our future. But I'm also seeing great uncertainty at this time, the uncertainty of the threats on our border, the uncertainty of economic pressure on young people, the threats of AI and the climate crisis. But what I know from this convention is we need to make a decision in our party about getting back in Parliament and being able to drive the agenda. That's why I'm on Team Heather McPherson. She has done the heavy lifting. She has done the work. She knows how to win. That's what we need. We need to get people back, and we need to win in this country. I leave it to you, my friends.
My friends, fellow New Democrats, across this country, provincial New Democrats defeat Conservatives. We defeat Liberals. And most importantly, we form governments. We do that carrying forward, holding true to the very same values as Canada's NDP. And we have always, as federal New Democrats, as provincial New Democrats, been at our strongest when we work together. When Jack Layton was leader, it might surprise people to know that we didn't necessarily agree on every policy, but we also knew that we had shared values. And Jack Layton, he never wrote any part of this country off. He wanted us to grow together because he knew we could. Heather McPherson intuitively understands that too. She naturally connects with people and instinctively shares her success with everyone around her to help build other people up. Even in the last election, she didn't hunker down to protect her own vote count in her own riding. Oh, no. She kept knocking on doors in other ridings across Alberta and indeed even in other provinces. That's who she is. She's a builder. Heather just doesn't just think about the next election. She builds for the next one, and she builds for the one after that and the one after that. And that's the real difference in this race. Heather understands we can only grow through addition, not division. And we can only win for the people who are counting on us when we build and we win together. Heather McPherson is a builder. She's been proving it her whole career. And that is why I am so proud to support her. And I am so deeply honored to introduce her to all of you. My friends, join me in welcoming Heather McPherson.
Merci. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone, from the beginning, this campaign has been about building a bigger table and making sure that there is a place for everyday Canadians to have a voice where laws are passed and where decisions are made. That's why workers and farmers came together to build our party, and it's why we need to rebuild it. Because right now across the country, people are struggling. Working people are feeling squeezed from every direction. We're seeing scapegoating, more division, too many people carrying more than their share of the weight. Conservative governments are attacking public health care like we haven't seen since Tommy Douglas and the NDP built it. They are trampling on workers' rights. They are rolling back the rights of the most vulnerable. That's right. And Donald Trump is a threat to our economy, to our sovereignty, and to our planet. Now is not the time for us to shrink even more. We haven't been losing support because our values are wrong. We just haven't always connected as well as we could. People just want to know who's on their side. And this weekend, together, New Democrats can show Canadians that we have their back. You know, I didn't grow up in a political family. My mom and dad worked hard. They're here today. But they did teach us to care for others and that you can always make more room at your table. And that idea stuck with me. You know, through 20 years of building coalitions with people that we don't always agree with, you know, fighting for human rights, showing up for those people that the system has left behind. In 2008, when I was door knocking with Linda Duncan in Edmonton, Strathcona, there it is, we earned support from people who hadn't voted NDP before. And when I ran in 2019, every news camera went to the Conservative campaign office to celebrate their victory. And when the results came in, they had to rush right back to our campaign headquarters. And they learned something. They learned something that everyone in this room knows. Never underestimate New Democrats. Ensemble, on peut faire encore tellement plus. Pour les familles, pour les travailleuses et les travailleurs. Pour tout le monde. Medicare, workers' rights, employment insurance, pension protection, human rights. So many of the things that make this country great, New Democrats built. That's why it's on us to defend them. You know, that's why holding a membership card should mean much more than getting fundraising emails. It is a symbol. It's a symbol of every one of your role in rebuilding our party. You know, of winning power back for the Canadians that are depending on us. Because as a political party, that's our job. You know, everyone deserves a home, not a tax loophole, not a vessel for corporate profiteering, a home. You know, reconciliation is a path that we need to actively take, not just talk about. We need to fix and expand public health care, dental care, mental health care. and pharmacare. Workers' rights need to be strengthened, not abandoned. And we need to protect public services, not cut them. Our future needs to be built here with Canadian materials and Canadian jobs, and a plan to address the climate crisis that workers can support because they are part of the solution. Not ignored. Not ignored, not patronized, or not treated like part of the problem. And Canada must be a voice for peace, for human rights, for international law, for standing with Ukraine, for standing for justice in Palestine. Here's what New Democrats stand for. A good job, home you can afford, head-to-toe health care that you don't have to pay for ever, and a government that serves you, not the billionaires that these guys keep letting off the hook. And we need to be building a cleaner, brighter future for our kids with more hope, with more opportunity for everyone. En liberté, partout au pays. Le Québec est au centre de ce travail. Je suis là et je vais rester là. Je vais être à l'écoute et ensemble, on va gagner pour les gens. You know, once after a tough election loss, Tommy Douglas quoted an old Scottish ballad. I am hurt, but I am not slain. Let me lie down and bleed a while, but then I'll rise and fight again. Friends, we are already fighting again. Right now, in British Columbia and Manitoba, we are governing. We are the official opposition in the Yukon, in Alberta, in Saskatchewan, in Ontario, in Nova Scotia. Across the country, our values are winning. And we can choose to ignore or even oppose that success, or we can build from it together. That's our solidarity. That is our strength. So if you're ready to rebuild our party, I'm asking for your support. Let's leave this convention re-energized and together, like those who have built and rebuilt the NDP before us, conversation by conversation, community by community, riding by riding. Let's make sure everyone has a seat at this table. I have a plan, I have a record, and I'm already doing the work. Thank you.